Both were outstanding. Both once had He Guang's love, even though Lin Yusen came later. Yet in the end, the one who stayed by her side was Lin Yusen, while Zhuang Xu could only cling on in pain. The answer does not lie in background, circumstances, or timing, but in how they face love, pain, and themselves. First, let us talk about Zhuang Xu. He was clearly the one who came first, and once shared a deep youthful love with Xi Guang. Yet it was he who missed his chance. Zhuang Xu comes from a poor background but is talented, intelligent, and capable. He is a classic example of a young genius, carrying sensitivity, strong pride, and a heart full of insecurity. His love for Xi Guang began during their youth, pure, sincere, yet fragile. Zhuang Xu loves Xi Guang, but he lacks the courage to stand on equal footing with that love. Faced with her feelings, he chose to retreat, fearing that he was not worthy. He used coldness to hide his inferiority and distance to protect his self-esteem. But the more he avoided, the more opportunities he lost. If Lin Yusen is someone who endures pain without hurting others, then Zhuang Xu is someone who fears pain and ends up hurting both of them. His love was suppressed and restrained. He dared neither to speak nor to hold on. And in the end, all that remained was regret. Zhuang Xu is like an immature version of a tragic male lead, loving deeply, yet not strong enough to withstand reality. His later return created conflict, but only served to highlight one thing. Xi Guang was no longer the girl she once was. Because along that journey, Xi Guang herself had grown. She no longer needed someone who loved her silently and painfully, but someone who dared to stand beside her and take responsibility for love. And that person could only be Lin Yusen. Unlike Zhuang Xu, Lin Yusen is nearly perfect in every aspect. But what truly allows him to find happiness with Xi Guang lies in how he loves and how he faces love. Lin Yusen is the archetype of a man with an almost flawless starting point. Born into a wealthy family, holding a medical doctorate from the United States, once a talented surgeon with a promising future ahead of him. He carries the temperament of the elite, rational, composed, self-controlled, and profound. However, a car accident became the greatest turning point of his life. An injury to his hands made it impossible for him to continue holding a scalpel, forcing him to give up the medical career he loved and move into the family business. For Lin Yusen, this was not merely the loss of a job, but the loss of the very identity he was most proud of. The transition from someone who saved lives to a businessman created a deep fracture within his inner world. Yet it was precisely from this moment that the depth of Lin Yusen's character became most apparent. He did not escape from pain, but chose to endure it and grow quietly. More importantly, the accident was tied to a misunderstanding involving Xi Guang. Lin Yusen mistakenly believed that it was Xi Guang who had invited him to Wuxi before the accident, which led to complex emotions, love mixed with resentment. And the more resentment there was, the harder it became for him to look away from her. This misunderstanding meant that their relationship was tense, conflicted, and oppositional from the very beginning. In Xi Guang's eyes, Lin Yusen initially appeared to be a smart yet unpredictable superior, sometimes sharp-tongued, sometimes deliberately making things difficult for her. But beneath that cold exterior was a man who had already fallen in love with her, trapped between misunderstanding, pain, and pride. The greatest difference between Lin Yusen and Zhuang Xu lies in the way they love. He does not impose, does not force, and does not turn his own sacrifices into a burden for the other person. Throughout his pursuit of Xi Guang, he maintains a clear boundary. I choose to pursue you. You have the right to refuse, and that does not mean you owe me anything or should feel guilty. That confidence, composure, and respect make Lin Yusen's love feel safe. He gives Xi Guang the power of choice and allows her to feel respected as an independent individual, not as a reward for someone else's pain. Even before the misunderstanding is fully resolved, Lin Yusen chooses to let go of blame and resentment from the past. He lets go of the past, faces his inner self, and loves in a clearer, more open way. When Xi Guang encounters hardship, he stays by her side to care for and protect her, officially stepping into the pursuit with his utmost sincerity. Therefore, the difference between Lin Yusen and Zhuang Xu does not lie in who is more outstanding, but in who is mature enough to love. One chooses to face reality and give respect. The other chooses to avoid and cling to insecurity. In the end, love does not belong to the one who loves the most, but to the one who loves in the right way. And that is why Lin Yusen ends up with Xiguang, while Zhuang Xu can only love her without ever having her.